Look around your Minecraft world. You spawn into a vast, beautiful landscape. But beneath the surface, you are walking on a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Temples buried under the desert sand. Monuments drowned in the deep ocean. Massive abandoned mine shafts, echoing with nothing but silence. You are not the first one here. Long before you punched your first tree, a highly advanced civilization known as the Ancient Builders conquered this land. But today, their world is empty. What kind of nightmare wiped them out? Welcome to MineByte, where we don't just play the game, we look closer. Chapter 1. The Golden Age and the Schism. In the beginning, the ancient builders were gods of the overworld. They mastered agriculture, architecture, and engineering. To protect their villages, they created life from iron and pumpkins, the Iron Golem. But this power sparked a dark ambition. A faction of builders believed they could go further. They wanted to conquer death itself. They began experimenting with dark magic, trying to create artificial life and cheat the natural order. The rest of the builders were terrified and banished them. These outcasts became the Illagers. Driven by rage, the Illagers built massive woodland mansions. They mocked the builders by creating the Ravager, a twisted, monstrous version of the Iron Golem. And they succeeded in their dark magic, trapping souls inside wooden dolls to create the Totem of Undying. This civil war was the first crack in the Empire. It left the overworld scarred and its resources drained. Chapter 2. The Nether Campaign. Desperate for new materials, the builders discovered obsidian, lit it with fire, and tore a hole in reality. They entered the Nether. But the Nether was already occupied. The Piglins, a fierce race with an absolute obsession for gold. At first, there was peace. The builders used the gold they mined from the overworld to barter with the Piglins, trading for safe passage and Nether resources. But the builders' greed grew. They stopped trading and started taking. They built massive Nether fortresses, heavily guarded structures to claim the Nether's lava and resources for themselves. The Piglins realized they were being invaded. The bartering stopped, and the fragile peace shattered into a brutal, endless war. To defeat the Piglin armies, the builders needed a superweapon. They looked at the soul sand, blocks literally made of trapped, screaming souls. They combined it with the skulls of the charred wither skeletons, hoping to create a controllable golem of dark energy. They were wrong. They didn't create a weapon. They birthed a god of destruction, the Wither. The Wither could not be controlled. It began annihilating everything, builders and piglins alike. Realizing the beast would follow them through the portals and destroy the overworld, a brave group of builders made the ultimate sacrifice. They fled back through the portals and shattered the obsidian frames from the outside. The ruined portals you see today are not just broken ruins. They are barricades. The builders locked the door, trapping thousands of their own people in hell forever. Chapter 3. The Deep Dark Mistake. The overworld was no longer safe. The Wither had already caused too much destruction, and the Illagers were still hunting them. The surviving builders had only one place left to go: down. They dug to the absolute bottom of the world, down to the bedrock. Here, in the pitch-black caves, they built their final masterpiece, the ancient cities. At the center, they constructed a massive, reinforced frame. They were trying to build a new portal to escape to a third dimension. But their massive mining operations and city building created noise, echoes in the dark, and something was listening. They didn't realize that the deep caves were infected by a cosmic parasite, the Skulk. The Skulk feeds on experience points, on the life force of dying creatures. The noise of the builders woke it up. And from the ground, the Warden emerged. It wasn't a biological creature. It was the immune system of the Skulk, designed to eradicate anything that made a sound. The builders were trapped in the dark with an unkillable nightmare. They had to run again. Chapter 4. The End of the Line. Running out of time and people, the last ancient builders retreated to underground strongholds. They activated the end portals and jumped into the void, destroying the portals behind them so nothing could follow. But they didn't find a paradise. They found a barren wasteland of floating islands, ruled by a tyrannical predator, the Ender Dragon. They were trapped. There was no way back. With no food, they were forced to eat the only thing that grew in the void, the mysterious chorus fruit. Slowly, the magic of the fruit began to twist their DNA. They grew abnormally tall to adapt to the low gravity. Their eyes turned purple, resonating with the End's energy, and their minds shattered. They lost their ability to build. They lost their language. They became the Endermen. Today, they wander the dimensions, aimlessly picking up blocks of dirt and grass, crying out with distorted voices in the dark. But the legacy didn't die completely. The knowledge, the crafting recipes, the history of this entire civilization was passed down to one final survivor. When you load into a new world, that survivor is you. Next time you see an Enderman holding a block, don't just see a mindless monster. See an ancestor, trying desperately to remember who they used to be. You are walking through the graveyard of your own people. What will you build from their ashes? Remember, always look closer.